The red flag I ignored that was screaming at me. The physical dread. I remember sitting in my car for 10 minutes before going inside our house, just staring at the steering wheel because I didn't have the energy to deal with whatever mood they were in. Your body usually knows the relationship is toxic months before your brain is ready to admit it. When I was a kid, my mother would accuse me of strange things and have a really weird look on her face. You only care about what you want. You're just being nice because you want something. You had a bad day and you're taking it out on me. I was always bewildered by these comments. It took me way too long to realize that she was accusing me of the things she did. I interviewed for a job and they took me on a tour. The graphic designers' desks were clean and they were wearing suits. Not cool-looking suits, just regular ugly salaryman suits. I live in Japan. That was my red flag, and at the time I thought, weird. Usually they dress for comfort and their desks are chaos magnets, full of weird interesting stuff. One designer I worked with wore a pajama top because he liked the pattern. It was the most soul-crushing job I've ever had. ETA. Probably this question was about romantic partners, but red flags come in all areas of life. He was mean to his sister when she was upset. The way they talk about other women, calling them names, making fun of their weight. He would get angry and punch a wall. Ended up punching me 2 years down the line. The biggest red flag I ignored was on our very first date. He spent 45 minutes talking about how all his exes were crazy and abusive and how he was always the victim. Instead of seeing it as a pattern, I told myself, wow, has been through so much, I want to be the good girl who treats him right. Fast forward 8 months, same stories, same drama, same everyone else is toxic except me narrative, except now I was the crazy abusive ex in his version. I ignored the biggest screaming red flag because I wanted to be the queen in someone else's story. Never again. On our third date, he laughed at a waiter who got his order wrong. Not complained, laughed. Mean, slow, deliberate laughter while the guy stood there apologizing. I remember feeling uncomfortable for exactly 3 seconds before I told myself he was just tired. We were together for years. He was never just tired. He was like that with cashiers, with parking attendants, with anyone who couldn't do anything for him. I kept explaining it away. He had a rough week. He's stressed. He's actually really sweet when it's just us. And maybe he was. But the person someone becomes when nothing is at stake, when there's no reason to perform kindness, that's who they actually are. I didn't lose for years. I spent for years slowly learning to read. The fact that he would come home from work every night with a case of beer seems so simple and somewhat normal until you realize you're living with an alcoholic, and that comes with its own set of problems. When my ex-wife asked for an open relationship, and I said no. Should have been my first sign of what it was going to lead to. He was really rude to his mom. I remember thinking, I hope he never treats me like that. Turns out that's exactly how he treated me. The fact that they didn't have a single friend from their past. If everyone from your old life is an asshole, you're usually the common denominator. The extreme levels of overreaction over minor things. He used the word female but never the word male. Female and men. He said women always want more than men can give, and yet almost all of his bills are paid for by a woman. I realized the other day that I didn't want to start the drive to the house. I was sitting in the parking lot playing music in my car and trying to psych myself up to put it in drive. The signs have been there the whole time. I just kept saying, as she's going through a rough time. When my former best friends stole money from their parents and went to jail for stealing money from their job that probably should have been a clue that they would someday steal money from me. He gets defensive talking about business things in regards to us. I stopped working a few years ago and tried to enact a budget, but it was ignored. When I tried to give him the finances, he got pissy and just took it all and left me. I was dumb enough to take him back. 1 year later, I'm miserable again, trying to defend myself as justification to pay for groceries. He was always jealous of my success. I could afford something he couldn't. I was rubbing it in his face. I got a promotion at work. I must be a suck-up. I got a new job that pays better. They must be desperate. Someone gave me a compliment. They need to mind their own business. I should have dropped his stupid tutus the week after I met him. When their words and actions never matched, and I kept believing the words instead of what they were actually showing me. Things got really intense, really fast. Yeah, that went down in flames. The inconsistency in communication. I would say any type of attention-seeking behavior. I met his mom on the second date. He introduced me with the wrong name. At first I thought it was actually funny. But not so much anymore. He lied to me about his age. I was 24 and he told me he was 29. He invited me later to his birthday and turns out, he was turning 31. I asked him about it, and he told me he thought I might not be interested in him if he told me the truth. I laughed at the time and told him that 1 more year wouldn't have made a difference to me. I should have known he would lie about many more things. The attachment style of an avoidant. Love struck me. His just passionate. Jaded survivor me. No, you moron. He was volatile and constantly on the verge of violence.